So this is the first of a couple of videos that I'm going to be making specifically about away and to help you study. Okay. So the first one that we're going to be talking about is Stranger in the Shore. So we've already talked about this at great length, but I thought it's probably a good idea for me to go back over it for you, so that it sinks in and that you have a point of reference to go back to in case you're lost or in case you forget. So those dot points this way on the screen, yeah. Those dot points, please pause now and actually write them down so that when I'm speaking you can actually jot down notes as I go along. I'm going to assume you've done that. So Stanger is a play within the play, and its basic story is a young sailor gets drunk one night, dies, becomes a ghost. He then meets a woman that they fall passionately in love with. He realizes that his presence causes her pain, or will cause her pain, and so decides to leave. This, in turn, means that she tries to follow him, falls into the ocean, the god of the sea, I'm going to say Neptune, don't say Neptune, turns her into a mermaid to save her. Her being a mermaid causes her intense pain and loneliness because she's isolated from everyone else, and the sailor uses his one wish from the god of the sea to return her to normal, and she moves on completely healed. That's the basic story. There is a lot into that, and it represents the characters who play it. So Tom and Coral are the sailor, ghost, and the mermaid. And for each of them, that means different things. So for Coral, as the mermaid, who is chasing after the ghost, that's her chasing after her son and not being able to let go of her son. And that inability to let go, that inability to move on and let him leave into death, is what causes her pain and is the source of her pain, kind of like the mermaid being controlled by the pain of her choices in regards to the sailor. And so the ghost is obviously her son in this metaphor. Alternatively, from Tom's perspective, Tom is in a half state. He knows that he's going to die, so he is in between life and death, which is like a ghost. And the mermaid in this metaphor, in regards to Tom, represents the family that he knows that being around him and hanging on to him will result in pain, and at some point they're going to have to let him go. So within this play within a play, there is a gratuitous amount of symbolism. Obviously, we've already talked about the symbol of the mermaid and the symbol of the ghost and what they mean from different perspectives. But beyond that, the symbol of the ocean for Coral is actually quite great. Sorry, I was interrupted, so I actually don't know what I last spoke about. So I'm going to talk about the ocean. The ocean for Coral represents her depression. Particularly if you look at the way in which, the language in which the mermaid speaks about the ocean, the idea of cold, lonely, isolated. That's exactly how, to this point in the play, we see Coral being represented. She's unable to connect to other people, she's unable to interact with other people in a meaningful way. And as a result, she is lonely, isolated, and she seems quite cold to other people, which is one of the primary things that Roy was really frustrated about to her, the idea that you ignore people, you always ignore people. Symbolism is also used quite heavily with the last bit of dialogue within the play, so the I'm walking. Coral starts saying that after the legs have reappeared under the towel, and she says I'm walking, and she says it in a character voice, so the character's actually learning how to walk again, and then she drops the character voice, and it goes into her normal voice, so it is actually, when you look at it live, it's quite distinct, because the character voice is in American, so it's like, I'm walking, and she starts to, what we see is that healing process has transcended from the character into Coral as a person. The significance of it being a play within a play is actually quite big in terms of the overarching Shakespearean illusion that we've talked about before. A play within a play exists solely for characters to bluntly and openly express feelings, emotions, experiences without it being expositional, without characters standing there in front of each other talking, going like, and then I was feeling this, and then I did this. It is entirely for them to do that in a meaningful way that doesn't feel forced and doesn't feel expositional. So that's what Stranger in the Shore is about in a nutshell. What I want you to do now is, so you should have written notes while listening. If you haven't done that, you need to rewatch it. But now that you've done that, I want you to essentially just write down a paragraph explaining what you understand about The Stranger in the Shore. Okay? Thank you.